Greetings, Centennial students and families. My name is Mr. Ader. I hope you guys are watching this together. I hope you take it seriously, and I hope the information I share with you is helpful. If you are watching this, it is because you are concerned about the math end of course exams and the importance of math in your education. Before I continue, I would like to point your attention to my information. My work number and my email number is included, as well as Ms. Christensen, who is our math intervention teacher. I also want to thank the parents, guardians who showed up on Wednesday night, those of you who reached out and let me know that you were unable to make it, and those of you who are watching this right now with your student. Your support is critical and crucial to your student's success. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about why algebra and geometry are so important. I'd like to be honest here and tell you that I have nothing rehearsed. I'm just talking straight from the heart. Here's the truth. You have to pass the algebra end of course exam to graduate high school. That's it. So if you don't like math, or you hate math, or you're scared of math, it doesn't matter. You cannot walk the stage and graduate unless you pass the algebra end of course exam. You also need to pass geometry. So you don't technically need to pass the geometry end of course exam. But if you do not pass the end of course exam when you are in algebra, then passing the geometry end of course exam would count for that. So it is still important. Plus, if you've looked at your report card, you notice there is no semester exam grade for the midterm for the first semester. And it won't be there at the end of the year for the second semester. That's because the end of course exams are worth 30% of your overall grade. So you can be sitting with an A and a B and do really poorly on the end of course exam, and it will drop your grade. You could be sitting with a D and a D, and that'll really drop your grade. Or you can be sitting with, let's say, a C and a B. If you do really well on the exam, that will raise your grade. So besides the fact that passing algebra is mandatory to graduate, the EOC, and besides the fact that passing the class of geometry is mandatory for graduation, the end of course exams are 30% of your overall grade, which will also impact your grade point average and will also impact your math placements moving forward. So here is a little known secret. Your entire high school schedule, from the day you enter as a freshman until the day you leave as a senior, is driven by where you are and what you are doing in math. It is the most important course that drives the rest of the schedule. I'll talk about that in a little bit. This slide is from the St. Lucie pupil progression page, and it just shows you what I was just talking about in terms of the end of course test accounting for 30%. Okay, so here we have an example of a senior. If you look at this schedule, on the very left-hand column where it says period, there are two period 2s. One is for the first semester and one is for the second semester. That period is the only period during the day that this particular student has to be on campus. The rest of that schedule says dual enrollment if you look at the teacher to the right. It means this student is taking college classes at their own convenience. It might be at different times during the day, it might be in the evening, whatever it might be. The point is, because they did well on their math algebra, their math geometry, and their reading, to be fair, all these doors open up for them when they become seniors. On this slide, we have an example of a senior who failed algebra, who failed English, who failed world history. And this senior needs to be in school all 7 periods every day. This senior has 3 periods of credit recovery. And if you look at the line below the 3rd arrow, it says math for data and financial literacy. This student still has to pass an additional math class to earn their math credit. The point I'm trying to make is that your entire schedule is built around your success or your lack of success in algebra and geometry. So what happens if you do not pass the algebra EOC or the geometry EOC? Well, what happens is you have additional chances to meet that requirement. So if you look in the middle where it says state math test requirements, obviously the top one is the algebra EOC. The very bottom one says geometry EOC. So like I said earlier, if you don't pass the algebra EOC and you're sitting in geometry, that EOC can count for you. But if you don't pass that, your only chances are a 420 on the SAT math, a 430 on the PSAT, or a 16 on the ACT. But here's the deal. We only give you the PSAT one time each year. We may give students 1 or 2 opportunities to take the SAT or the ACT. If you don't take advantage of those when you're a junior or a senior, you have to pay for them and take them on your own and register on your own and drive to the location on your own and study on your own. You do not want to be a junior or senior in this position, which is why your life will be a million times easier if you just try now while you're actually in algebra or geometry. The other thing is, if you're a junior or a senior and you're no longer in algebra or geometry, then who's teaching you the algebra or geometry that you need to pass the SAT or the PSAT or the ACT? It's not so easy. As I said earlier, the algebra EOC is worth 30% of your overall grade. And the next couple of slides are going to talk about what the test and the scoring actually look like. Okay, as you may know, or as you should know at this point, the algebra and geometry EOCs are what we call adaptive or computer adaptive exams. What that means is that the computer will pull from a bank of questions. If you get, let's say, number 1 correct, number 2 becomes a little bit harder. If you get number 2 correct, number 3 becomes a little bit harder. And in this model, the person got number 3 wrong, so question number 4 became a little bit easier, and so on and so forth. Which means the better you do on each question, the higher range of questions you will get for the following question. So if you decide, oh, it's no big deal, I'll just get the first question wrong so I get an easier question. That's true, you will. And I'll get the second one wrong so I get an easier question. That's true, you will. But the algorithm, that line going, if you follow it all the way to the right, is going to end up very, very low. And that's going to translate into a very low score. What you need to do is try your best on every single question. You need to try your best on question 1, then question 2, then question 3. Then you need to pause, and you need to reflect. And you need to go back to 1, 2, and 3 and make sure you're confident, and then do the same thing for 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, until you finish. You technically will have as much time as you need to finish this test. There is no reason to rush. You literally have all day if you want it. This is a brand new way of scoring the EOC. You also cannot skip questions. You can't skip number 1. You cannot get to number 2 unless you answer number 1. So you need to try your best on the very first question, and on the second question, and on the third question. And then if you want to go back to number 1 and double check it, you can. But every answer you input will determine the level of the following question. You need to take it seriously. This is what we use in education to determine placement. If you look at the very, very bottom, it says FSA EOC. It says Algebra 1 and Geometry. And as you go all the way across to the right, each column indicates a different level. If you're red, you're level 1, yellow is level 2, green is level 3, the teal is level 4, blue is level 5. Whatever score you get on the EOC determines the type of placement you'll have the following year. So if you're listening to this right now as a freshman and you took algebra in 8th grade, you are already in geometry right now. If you took 8th grade math last year, you're automatically in algebra right now. If you do well, let's say you are sitting in geometry right now and you're in an honors class, that's because in algebra you got a level 4 or 5, or maybe even a high level 3 and had some good grades. If you're in a regular geometry class, I can tell you right now, you almost definitely did not get a level 3, 4, or 5. Your placement is determined by your test scores. And this test, as I just showed you in the previous slide, is going to be a little bit different than in previous years. Every question counts. Okay, let's start with how to support you. Khan Academy. Students, you should already know how to do this. Parents and guardians, if you don't, you can literally just Google Khan Academy. Go into the link, type in algebra or geometry, and it has videos, tutorials, practice, etc. We have tutoring available every lunch, every day with Miss Christensen and P119. Students, you just need to go there. Just go there. Give up a lunch period once in a while. It's not that big of a deal. Get a little bit extra help for a half hour. We have algebra tutoring after school with Miss Sadowski. It's in Hybrid 20, and it's from 1:50 to 3:50. She is there Mondays and Wednesdays. Dr. Britton is there Mondays and Thursdays for geometry, D102. And we're going to have several boot camps on Saturdays. The geometry boot camps will be on April 29th and May 6th. It is from 8:30 until 11:30. Students, you just need to show up and report to the media center. The algebra EOC boot camps will be on Saturday, the 22nd, the 29th, and May 6th. The EOCs are May 9th. So I would highly encourage everybody to take advantage of these Saturday boot camps. It's not that big of a deal to give up 3 hours on a Saturday to pass the class and the course that are the most important in your high school experience. I promise you, the time you give now will be a whole lot better than sitting in credit recovery or struggling to take the PSAT or the SAT or the ACT when you're a senior. I can tell you right now, as of the moment I am recording this, I have 59 seniors left out of about 650 that still have not met their math requirement. And they are hoping and praying that on the next ACT, which is April 4th, that they pass. And they won't know that until the middle or end of April. And if they don't pass, they will have one more chance in May. And guess what? Graduation is May 25th. If they don't pass it by then, I don't have to finish the sentence. Okay, several of you have been or are now in what we call math intervention. This is our way of giving kids who we feel are on the bubble, so to speak, a chance to get extra help during the school day. There are about 200 students currently in math intervention, which is about 20% of the students in algebra or geometry. These are students that teachers feel can use extra help. These are students whose test scores indicate they need extra help. These are students who I know can't stay after school for whatever reason. And so we pull them out of art or a freshman seminar or a PE or something like that for 45, 60 minutes a week. It's free, it's hands-on, it's small group, it helps you in the class, it will help you for the EOC. If you got an invitation to attend intervention, you need to make sure that you are attending. Parents and guardians, if you are watching this and you feel like your child needs this, please reach out to me. In addition, the intervention is not counted as a grade. Students never miss an entire period. They are not penalized for anything they do miss. There's no homework in it. And like I said, we know kids have a hard time coming after school. So that's why we build it into the schedule. Again, if you are already in this math tutoring, this math intervention, make sure you're going. If you're not, and anyone feels like they want to be, please come let me know or give me a call. And that's pretty much it. My name is there at the top, Russell Lader. My contact information is there as well. Students, you could always reach me on Teams. Ms. Christensen is our math interventionist. Her information is provided for you. If anybody has any content-related questions, our department chair is Dr. Britton. And if for any reason you are a parent that has an older student and you need help, our graduation coach is Jennifer Register. I would just like to conclude with this. Yes, this is my job. Yes, I care about Centennial. Yes, I want everyone to do well in school, but I'm also a parent, and everything that I'm telling you is the same stuff I tell my own children who are 7th graders, who will be in 8th grade next year taking algebra. Hopefully they do okay. So they will be 9th graders sitting in geometry. But it doesn't really matter where you are. If you are a freshman, you have to be in algebra unless you are already done with it. If you're a sophomore, you have to be in geometry unless you're already done with it. But you do not want to be the kid who's sitting in credit recovery your senior year and also trying to find a way to pass the SAT or ACT. You want to be the kid who passes this the first time, and then you have opportunities to get the classes you actually really want, whether it's basketball or early childhood or health science or your dual enrollment and you're taking classes at IRSC. None of that stuff, none of those roads are possible for you if you do poorly in algebra and geometry. So just trust me on this one. I've been doing this for a pretty long time and I kind of know what I'm talking about. That's it. Parents, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Students, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. We got about 6 weeks left before we test. Not even, yeah, about 5 or 6 weeks left. Okay, the time is now to take it seriously. I promise you, it's much better to take it seriously now than in 3 or 4 years when you're no longer in these classes, yet you still need them to graduate. All right, thank you.